What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Ross the Boss coming at you with an all-new Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4. We are about to dive into a brand new campaign, one that I have never really played before. We're going to be starting as the Soviet Union faction, led by none other than Joseph Stalin. As you can see here, we have a variety of national spirits right off the start. We have the Trotsky plot, giving us a negative 20% national unity due to our paranoia and pathological distrust. We also have Home of the Revolution, giving us a 50% ideology drift. Now, before I start any Hearts of Iron campaign, I want to go ahead and just let everybody know who has never really experienced Hearts of Iron 4. It is a lot like Crusader Kings 2, and it's a lot like, Europa Universalis 4. The only difference is, of course, instead of a couple hundred years, Hearts of Iron 4 will last from the year 1936 all the way to 1948. The goal, of course, is to fight throughout Europe and throughout the world through World War II. Of course, the prologue and the epilogue after World War II as well. Our entire goal is to gear up our economies, our production, start producing as many tanks, as much infantry, battleships, airplanes as we can, and to try to go ahead and spread, at least in our case, communism throughout all of Europe. It is kind of like a sandbox mode, so really you can do whatever you want as the Soviet Union, but of course we are playing on historical mode, which means some of the more powerful countries like Germany, France, the United Kingdom, are of course going to have a few more benefits rather than a variety of other countries such as small Finland here. Now, before we go ahead and dive into the game, we do want to go ahead and take a look at all of these icons up here at the top of the screen. We want to go ahead and we have 3 research slots. And of course, throughout the game, we're going to be researching a variety of upgrades. The very first thing we want to do is go into our industry, and we really want to upgrade our basic machine tools. This will improve our production efficiency cap by 10%. I'll explain what this is in just a few moments. This will take 142 days to complete. For our second research slot, we want to go ahead and unlock Construction 1, giving us more construction speed and factory repair speed. 190 days. And finally, we don't have any other options here in construction rather than synthetic oil, but we do want to go ahead and move into engineering and unlock mechanical engineering. Our research time for all of our upgrades here will have a negative 2% benefit, which is very nice to see. Mechanical engineering will take 95 days. Now, unfortunately, Russia here, or Soviet Union, only has 3 research slots at the moment. As the game progresses, we will move up to 4 and then 5, drastically improving the rate at which we gather new technology and advances. We also have the ability to unlock free civilian factories. As you can see here, we have 42 civilian factories altogether, but if you've never played Hearts of Iron 4, you can see here that we have a certain type of economy. We have a civilian-based economy, which means that 30% of all of our factories that we own have to go towards, civilian goods. So unfortunately, we're only able to use about 70% of all of our factories. And of course, this type of economy mode, our construction speed and our military factory speed is drastically reduced. Of course, we can upgrade this throughout the game: early mobilization, partial mobilization, all the way to total mobilization, drastically reducing that penalty. So in the meantime, we have 24 factories. So the entire goal here is we really want to start using up some of these factories and start producing more stuff in a way. And the reason why that stuff is so important is because we have civilian factories, military factories, naval dockyards. All of these will help secure us a very nice strategic foothold here inside, hopefully, Northern Europe. I will try to go after the Baltic Sea, and of course maybe making my way into Turkey, but we'll talk strategy later in the episode. So right now we have 24 available factories. Let's go ahead and produce more civilian factories. And you can see here that we can have up to 15 factories working on one option at one time. So right now you can see here that only 18 of our factories are actually in use, which is very sad. So my entire goal is I want to get about 3 lines of civilian factories all at 15. You can see I only have 1 at the moment. So I'm going to be producing quite an abundance of military factories all here in Central Soviet Union territory. And for the time being, this is going to take a very, very long time to produce. But we'll go ahead and we will try to produce as much as we can. We also have the ability to use some of our military factories. Right now, we have 36 military factories, and only 18 are being utilized. So that means we have another 18 to put into whatever we'd like. If we go to our logistics map mode, you can see that we are definitely behind in infantry equipment. And as of right now, the Soviet Union military has too much manpower, and not every soldier has a weapon, and we really need to go ahead and fix that. So my entire goal right now is to go into my free military factories. I am going to be using about 8 of my 18 additional factories, and so now I have 10 military factories that are left. I could go ahead and improve my support equipment. I think I will. I think I'm also going to put in a little bit of towed artillery, maybe up to 5. And my primary concern, though, is to get as many weapons as I can. So we're going to go ahead, shift-click this infantry equipment all the way to the top. And you can see here that I only have about 4 factories left. And I am going to go ahead and have future factories start pumping out infantry equipment. So you can see that all of these are gray. So for the time being, we are going to be producing more and more civilian factories, which will give us a lot more income. And of course, more civilian factories means we can produce a lot more military factories much more efficiently here in the future. So we also have the ability for free dockyards. Right now, we only have 39 convoys. Convoys essentially transport troops, and of course, they transport trade goods, which we will get into later. This game is absolutely massive, and it might take a little bit of time to explain. So hopefully you can follow along. We're going to go into our dockyards, which is essentially the same screen as the production interface. If we scroll all the way to the bottom, you can see that we aren't making any convoys at all, which absolutely needs to change. So let's go into our build chips. Go into convoy. You can see that it takes about 70 production, which doesn't take too long to produce. We only have... It says 6 out of 6 dockyards. Looks like we only had 1 free naval dockyard. So once again, we're going to shift-click as many convoys as we possibly can. And you know what? I think I'm actually going to lower this to about 10 future naval dockyards, because I think 15 might be a little bit too much overkill. We also have the ability for national focus. I believe the very first thing that I want to do, we have quite a variety of different pathways we could pursue. I think I would like to improve my industry as much as possible, so we are going to start with the finish the 5-year plan. This will give Rostov and Armenia quite a few civilian factories, which of course is very nice. So as I said earlier, more civilian factories means more military factories that can be produced. We have no divisions in basic training. As I said earlier, we have quite a bit of units that don't even have weapons. So we're not going to produce too many. I think we'll produce 3 at the time. We are going to set their location down to Moscow. So right now, one of these battalions, I believe is what they're called, are divisions. They currently have 3 regiments of infantry, so 3, 6, 9, and of course they do have a little bit of support artillery. As the game progresses, we will change this layout when we can. So of course we are going to be producing 3 divisions. As of right now, we don't have any infantry equipment, so I'm not sure they will even train. And without further ado, let's dive into the game. We are going to put it on speed 3. And we are essentially going to be taking over Finland as soon as we can. If we looked at our top right corner of the screen, you can see our world tension map mode. Once we get to 100%, there's going to be all-out warfare. And of course, with all-out warfare, anything goes. Essentially, I guess that's the rule. So anyway, Europe is going to be absolutely under siege once we get to 100 world tension. Oh my goodness, had a mind fart there. So anyway, what we're going to be doing is right now we have a variety of units that definitely need, grouped up and put into some sort of you know, front line. So all 4 of these units, we are going to assign them into 1 military, give them a random advisor or a random commander. You can see here Field Marshal Gregory Gulick. I don't think we really need this Field Marshal. I only picked him because he was level 1. Let's go with General Isa Pliev. And of course, we are going to establish a front line. We are going to right-click all along the border of Finland as it grows red. This means this general does not feel confident that they have enough men to overtake this front line. Of course, we are going to be adding more and more men throughout the rest of the game. We do have a variety of extra units. Looks like we do have some tanks as well. We are going to select these tanks, put them into a division of their own, and create a very small front line right in this general area. So right now we are going to go find the other 5 units somewhere. All of these units can now be shift-clicked into a new area as well. We are going to combine them with these 4 up in Finland, if I can. And here we are. Once again, we're going to create a front line. The game is still ticking on. And of course, that red line still exists, but it is much smaller than before. And of course, because we did this the wrong way, we have to reassign a general. And I believe what I'm going to do is I really need to create as many front lines as I possibly can. Of course, we do have quite a few as it is. We are going to try to separate as many cavalry as we can. We are going to put them on a job of their own. And just like that, we are going to put these 17 men into a new theater. We are looking for a front line on Manchuria, which is, of course, a puppet of Japan. As much as I would like to declare war on Manchuria, if we go into our resource map mode, if I can click the right icon, you can see here they have 36 steel, which is actually quite a lot. But unfortunately, they are a puppet of Japan, and if I were to declare on Manchuria, Japan would surely come to their aid. I'm going to rename this the Western European Front. And I'm going to rename you the Eastern European Front. So my entire goal is to essentially create some sort of defense and ensure that I don't really get attacked. So all of you can come into here, create a new general, and we now have 12 of these units here. We want to remove these cavalry, at least for the time being, have them all move to this province here. And it looks like I did it the wrong way. You can come out as well, and all of you can be shifted into a new area. So if I did it correctly, all of the units that are leaving are either, you know, support battalions, or of course they are cavalry. My entire goal will be to get as many infantry troops on the front line as I possibly can. We'll go ahead and we'll establish general sometime later. We have a few other ships. You can see we do have a small navy here. We are going to send as many tanks as we can up to the front line here in Finland. All of you can move into the Western European Front. Create a small garrison here on, I believe this is Estonia. You three have a few cavalry. You can become here a very small one province military. Let's garrison the front line. And now these 24 troops can get rid of these cavalry. And of course, I think I might as well get rid of these units as well. They are essentially colonial troops and not nearly as powerful. Kind of like a militia. And here we are. Let's go ahead, create a front line here on Poland. You can see that this line here is green, meaning they do believe they have the ability to, you know, dig in and defend against Poland. Though, of course, we are a little bit more worried about, you know, the German Reich rather than Poland itself. Okay, so in the meantime, we are still producing all of our buildings, all of our new factories. Once again, all of these cavalry need to go. All of these other units need to go as well. Most likely going to be reassigning these units to other positions. And we are desperately going to need a variety of other units to protect this area. Let's create a small line on Turkey. Looks like we have finished the 5-year plan. And, of course, the remilitarization of the Rhineland. Germany has stationed troops in the Rhineland territory close to the French border. In clear violation of the Treaty of Versailles, the local population cheered the German soldiers on, while the diplomatic reactions from France and Britain have so far been muted. It is no more than Germans walking into their own backyard, a political commentator in Britain observed. So now, of course, Germany is able to station troops all across the Rhineland, and of course we are gearing up for a future war, which is bound to happen sooner or later. We are once again going to remove as many cavalry units, and of course as many of these divisions as I can find. Looks like these are all mountainous troops that are left. We're going to create another front line, and whoever is left, which should be all 3 of these units, can all move to this one province here, Kalinin. We now have the ability to set a new national focus. Last time we completed the 5-year plan, giving us 2 building slots and 2 civilian factories in Rostov and Armenia. So now, of course, we now have 4 additional civilian factories. We're going to try to go for armament effort, giving us army experience and, of course, a variety of extra military factories, which are very nice indeed. More military factories means if we go into our production interface, we are going to get 4 more of these green buildings, which are all going to go into our infantry production. Now, I haven't really talked about production efficiency caps, and essentially what this means is the longer we produce a certain type of equipment, the more efficient we will become. I think this goes up to about 125% or either 100%. Something like that. So really the biggest issue is if we use all of these factories, these 15 factories, and we change them from creating infantry equipment to, let's say, we start producing light tanks, the production efficiency is going to drop all the way to 0, and of course they aren't going to be as efficient when producing those, you know, new items. Looks like all 3 of these cavalry can make their way over. And as soon as I can, I'm probably going to try to declare war on Finland before the world tension gets too high. But of course, before I do anything crazy, I am going to want to go ahead and look at my logistics. I was behind about 40,000 infantry equipment. Every day that goes by, we're gaining 26, which of course is slowly improving. As time goes on, we should get about to 150 to 200 every single day. And of course, we should have all of our infantry equipment in 398 days. And of course, because we are the Soviet Union, we have 1.2 million manpower, more than any other nation, which is very nice to see. Of course, every nation here has their pros and cons, but we are going to try our best to utilize our pros and go ahead and try to take over as much territory as we possibly can. Now, I believe my very first war goal is, of course, to take over all of these Finnish lands. And I would love to have Åland here, if I print Åland here, which of course is a very small Finnish island with 0 air bases and of course 0 radar and 0 anti-air. My entire goal will be to create a very small staging point where if I ever needed to, I could bomb the German Reich into, of course, submission. But I'm not really sure how this campaign is going to play out. I'm going to try to play as defensive as possible while also building up my production and also building up my military. So while the slugfest will continue between the United Kingdom and the German Reich, and of course France and the German Reich, We're going to try to stay back, maybe attack some smaller nations and try to grow slowly but efficiently. We have completed our electrical mechanical engineering. And of course, we are still in the year 1936, so we might as well unlock mechanical computing, further reducing our research time from -2% all the way down to an additional -3. So now we have -5, which is very nice to see. This will take 233 days to complete, but as of right now, we have -7% research, which is very, very powerful. All of our cavalry are making their way over. The entire goal with all of these units is to essentially try to create some sort of garrison whenever I take over Finland, because I don't want to have any sort of uprisings. And cavalry are some of the most efficient units in dealing with uprisings. So I'm going to pause the game real quick, scroll down. You can see that I have a massive amount of units that need to be delegated somewhere. And if we look at our Western European front, I might even go ahead and create a new theater and title this Turkey and Iran. That way we don't have too many units here in the Western European front. And I believe these 6 units can move down to this one. And so far, so good. Letting the clock roll on as soon as we can. We are going to try to fabricate a claim and hopefully take Helsinki before Finland even knows what hit them. But as I stated, my entire goal will be to produce a massive air base here on Åland, and of course give me some very nice radar of the area. I also have the ability to produce a few more ships. I don't think I'm going to do that just yet, but I am going to have to gear towards that focus fairly soon. So, you can see that our lands are so massive that it is going to take quite a long time for our units to make it to their goal. And from what it looks like, we have sent quite an abundance of units that did not need to be moved. So looks like we've moved this entire territory. But I guess they can go ahead and focus on Finland while we head over. I'm going to try to remove as many weak units as possible. I don't think I need these mountaineers either. They, of course, are the best at mountains. Let's go ahead, and it looks like Nationalist Spain has declared war on Spain, so there has been the Spanish Civil War. World tension is now at 5%. A civil war has erupted in Spain. Several generals seeking to overthrow the current government in Madrid have issued a pronunciamiento, and a large portion of the Spanish armed forces have answered their call to arms. This right-wing nationalist faction has occupied much of Spain, including the overseas territories. Loyalist forces and volunteers have assembled under the left-wing Republican government, determined to resist the push to their last breath. The battle for Spain has begun. What will this mean for Spain? Now, usually, the nationalists are, of course, fascist, and they're going to be getting some help from the German Reich. The German Reich is going to be using this opportunity to try out some of their new technologies, such as the Blitzkrieg warfare, which we will find out about later. So in the meantime, let's create a new military from all of these units. We're going to put them on the Western European front. We are going to create some sort of line. And with these 19 additional troops, we are going to add some sort of general. Let's go with General Georgy Zhukov. And we are going to want to go ahead and create an offensive line. Something like this. And now it's a little green, so I'm curious as to how well this is going to work. We have another 19 troops up in this direction. We are going to create another front line, which I believe you already are on one. And we are going to create an offensive line up in this area. Now, really, the generals will fight your war for you, but you have to go ahead and order them the correct orders. And it looks like we're going to have to try this one more time. Not sure why that's not working. It's obviously because we don't have a front line. Which I could have swore we had one. And just like that, we should be good to go. Now, fabricating some claims does take quite a long time. We are going to bring these mountaineers all the way down to, of course, Turkey and Iran, most likely into these provinces. We now have to assign additional divisions wherever we can. And now those 2 additional units will head on down. So, without further ado, I think we are going to go ahead, use some of our political power here. Click Finland. Justify a war goal on, of course, Karalha. This is going to take 240 days, and of course, once those days are over, we are going to go ahead and declare war. Looks like Finland gets events Joseph Stalin angered by Finnish posturing. Alright, well, I am going to go ahead and end this episode here. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I will see you in our next adventure.